I mean, look at this. How can you not think that this is some peak magic? You have one card that just reads you're going to mill, and you just slot in Gaia's Blessing, and then you can't take combat damage, you can't mill yourself, and you can just sort of sit back and pretty much win every game, right? What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. This Mythic video today, I'm going to show you one of the most broken combos I've ever found in the game, and it only requires one card to actually be on the field, and that is Angel of Suffering. It reads, if damage will be dealt to you, prevent that damage and mill twice that many cards. So you look at that and you think, that's kind of terrible, but when you have 3 Gaia's Blessing in the library, you can see where this is going. You cannot, every time you take damage, you're going to mill through your whole library, you're going to mill Gaia's Blessing, the library's going to get shuffled back in, and basically you can never take damage, and you can never be milled out, and then you just basically win because everyone concedes when they realize they can't do anything against you. Now, we run 4 Heroic Intervention to protect the Angel of Suffering, because as long as it stays on the battlefield, we win. Aside from that, we have an assortment of different mana ramp, removal, and we also run 2 Mastermind's acquisitions in here to pick up anything that we need from the deck or from our sideboard. You pick up any of these cards in the sideboard to just win. You got Torment of Hailfire, Ulamog, Ugin, but honestly I do like the Sheoldred into Peer into the Abyss combo. But as I said, this deck is one of the best decks I've ever seen, I've ever played, and I really hope you enjoy these games as much as I enjoy filming them. If you do, please make sure to subscribe to the channel down below in case you want to see any more videos like this. But for now, let's just get straight into the video. We are going first. I am going to keep this just because we're going to be able to turn 3 Harmonize, and drawing 3 cards on turn 3, never too bad. Do have a Gaia's Blessing in hand, so it's not very useful in hand, though at least you can just use it to draw a card even if your graveyard is empty. And also you can really mess with discard and like graveyard reanimator decks, because I mean they have some nice targets in there, and you're just gonna go ahead and pop this down for green, and you're just gonna go ahead and shuffle them back into the deck. I've had some very nice wins that way. So he is looking to be unblockable, rogue, ninjutsu things out. Are you going to ninjutsu something? Most likely. It's probably going to be the one that, I was going to say the one that lets them look at our hand and discard something, but what are you? Whenever it deals combat damage to player, draw a card. Okay. No worries with that one. I'm going to go ahead and Harmonize into heavy lands. That is not the greatest, though at least we have the Gaia's Blessing to draw another card. And the nice thing about Gaia's Blessing, nice thing, you know, you don't really want it in hand because you do need it in your deck, but once you play it, at least one copy is going to go back into your graveyard, so then at least you can, you know, when it does trigger, it's actually going to have a shuffle back in. Do we want to block? Yes, 3, 4, yeah, we're going to have 5 mana next turn in case we draw anything nice and spicy, which we do not, unfortunately. So I am just gonna Gaia's Blessing, pick up the Harmonize, draw a card, and there we go. There is the Angel of Suffering, and we do have Heroic Intervention in hand. Hopefully we are going to use Baleful Mastery now, and hopefully if he does have a counter spell, he is going to want to use it to save one of his cards. So let us just see right now. Gonna go ahead and destroy the thing that's going to give him cards whenever a ninja. Okay, so immediately resolves, no counter spells in hand. I take that as he did draw, so we could in theory ninjutsu something out. There we go. I wonder if he just drew it. It creates a copy of it. Not a problem for me. So he is going in heavy on the board state right now, and I do not mind. We have this, but then we cannot hold open Heroic Intervention. But do we just lose next turn? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's perfect damage, so we do need to risk it for that biscuit. And Angel of Suffering, I mean, amazing card. I love the fact that there's a Nightmare Angel in the deck. And people initially look at this, and they think, okay, I mean, sure, but terrible card, right? Because you're just going to mill out your deck, and then it's when they see the Gaia's Blessings and everything shuffled back in that it works amazingly. And combat damage does not actually happen, so anything that relies on dealing a combat damage should not trigger. So our entire library is basically going to mill out now. We're going to hit a Gaia's Blessing, shuffle it back in. You can see where I'm going with this. As long as you can protect Angel of Suffering, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Yeah, even this deals combat damage to a player. It's not going to trigger because, well, my friend, no combat damage is happening, and I can protect this thing like it is nobody's business. So, just going to go ahead and pull out some more lands. These do have flying. We can actually do this and hold open Heroic Intervention. Don't need to shuffle the Cultivate back in. Just want to draw a card. Blood on the Snow is a very nice card here, because we have enough snow lands that we can wipe his board, bring Angel of Suffering back, and just slowly watch him crumble as he realizes there isn't anything he can do. So this turn at least, we're going to be fine. Seek 2 cards, shuffle them into... You may shuffle them into your library if you do... Okay, he's just going to seek cards. It's not a worry for me. He is going to be tapped out. So I'm going to go ahead and pass. Every turn that he is not dealing with the Angel of Suffering is a win in my book, because he's just tapping out, I guess, for the fun of it at the moment. Unfortunately, did not hit a Gaia's Blessing there. Hit a bunch of stuff, but not the one to shuffle it back in. Unfortunately, the shuffler is being a little bit sus, I cannot lie. All of these lands and nothing else. He decides not to block, that's okay with me. So he might be thinking as soon as he hits a removal spell, he is going to be a-okay. He is stuck on 3 lands, though he is doing a lot for 3 mana. Don't really get why he didn't block last turn, but that is, I mean, look at this. How can you not think that this is some peak magic? You have one card that just reads you're going to mill, and you just slot in Gaia's Blessing, and then you can't take combat damage, you can't mill yourself, and you can just sort of sit back and pretty much win every game, right? Like, this is honestly such a fun... And I miss what I'm talking about, right? Like, just that. They realize there's no hope, and they concede. GG. Go on to the next one. Our opponent is going first, and this is not a hand I intend to keep. This is a much, much better one. So, seems strange, but I'm actually going to drop off 1 Angel of Suffering, just so we do have removal, and we can keep the ramp and the protection spell. I mean, whenever we start taking damage, everything's going to get milled and shuffled back in anyway, so it is not just going to be sitting at the bottom of our library. Thankfully, we are against an elf deck. I mean, normally whenever you play, you're always like, oh, damn, elves, I've lost, or goblins, I've lost, unless you're an equally matched deck. But with this, I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. As long as we can ramp fast enough to get Angel of Suffering down onto the field before we lose, we win. Like, there's no which way about it. No messing around, just get us that win, and let's go. He is proper stuck on 1 land. No, he's not. Double Allura Shepherd, so he is going in for the fast decisions right here. I'm just going to go ahead and drop Sheoldred. If he does have any removal, which I highly doubt it, this at least might start to bait him out, and it also does pause on the damage that we're going to be taking. So, next turn he can actually pump these up. So, just because I do want to make sure I have the mana for Heroic Intervention, I am going to go ahead and Binding of the Old Gods, the Archdruid, just so, you know, next turn we can hit the lands and just hold open protection, because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's how we win, and we have won already. He might not know it, he might think he's ahead of the game, but we've won it. I know it, you know it, and everyone in between doesn't know it yet, but they soon will. So, there we go. I completely lied. I don't have the lands. Whoops. But, let's just really hope he doesn't have removal. Really, really hope so. He has 1 card in hand, so what are the chances? It is a Blizzard Brawl. I'm gonna absolutely eat my words if it is, though we did probably need to get it down, just so we can make sure we don't lose. I'm not gonna block. I mean, I definitely could block. I don't think he's gonna have anything to pump it up. I mean, it's 5 mana. Ah, cheeky. He can do it at instant speed, so I'm not gonna block, because there goes the Allura Shepherd. I'm gonna give him a good game, and maybe he's gonna realize what exactly is going on here and how he just can't win at all. I would love it if there were some cards that triggered, like, that I could fit in the deck that have activations whenever you mill a singular card. Though I have not found one as of yet. If there are, please let me know with a comment down below, and I'm going to add them straight into the deck. But I mean, as it stands at the moment, let's just go ahead, smack them with both. And I mean, elf decks and goblin decks just absolutely crumble against us. Just going to go ahead and cultivate, get these extra lands out just for a bit of deck thinning. And we still have Heroic Intervention, just to starve off any unwanted attention. And honestly, at this point, we can just sit back and do nothing and win. There's a very nice combo goes on here, because we can't take any damage, and every time they draw a card, they're losing a life. So it works very nice, just sort of as like it's just like it's a slow pace win. And I mean, look at this, our whole deck has been milled twice now, and absolutely nothing happens. Absolutely nothing happens. Gonna go ahead and drop a second Angel of Suffering, because I am kind of curious, just to see if it's gonna trigger twice, or if it even can trigger twice. But I'm just gonna take the opportunity now, as long as he doesn't rope us out. So this guy definitely feels the need to rope me out until the very end. So finally going to go next to damage, and we are going to take this win straight from the elf deck. Let's go. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these crazy combos in the Mythic rank. Let me know anything you'd actually like me to see as well down below in the comments, and check out any of the other videos if you want to see more from this channel. Really appreciate it. But for now, let's just get this win. And there we go. GG. Victory right there. Opponent is going first, though I am liking the look of this hand right here. Early ramp with Llanowar Elf and the Coldsteel Heart. Straight into Angel of Suffering, Mastermind's acquisition. I mean, you know the name of the game, and that is never taking damage and trying to win every game. Trespasser's Curse. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, they lose a life and you gain a life. Sure, not too worried about that. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop this down for green, just because we are kind of sorted on the mana colour front. So just while this game is getting going, I want to tell you about a game I played with this deck yesterday that I didn't record, and kind of glad I didn't, because the game lasted over an hour, and it was exactly the same deck you're seeing now, but I was playing against whenever an opponent draws a card. So once if I play Sheoldred, so every time I draw a card, I'm actually only going to be gaining 1 life. That's not a big worry for me. But yeah, so this game that I was playing, it was against the Scurryoaks Heliod Infinite combo of creatures. And, you know, the guy sits there, the game lasted for an hour, let me tell you. Millions and millions of triggers. He gets an infinite board state, drop Ugin, -3, wipe his board state. Then next turn he actually has the Collective Company. Not gonna block this. He has Collective Company, actually manages to god hit the same combo, knows that he's gonna lose because I'm gonna be able to wipe the board again because I have Ugin sitting on the board, and just decides to try to crash the game with a million triggers. Like literally I sat there for like 45 minutes or something, knowing that I was gonna win and I could easily win. And he decided to try crash the game. The game almost crashed, and he ended up with it was like a stack of like 100 triggers, and each time a trigger was happening, it was causing 2 more triggers. And basically, he just roped me out. He ended up on like 270 life, and I won the game by bringing his life down to like 17 or something, but just sitting through while he played his entire deck and milled himself out, which honestly was ridiculous. But yeah, I sat through it because I'm not going to concede. Even if the game's going to last an hour, if I can see that I'm going to win, why should I concede, you know? But yeah, just that, like, you know, eventually drawing through to Mastermind's acquisition to get the other stuff that I needed. But I mean, the game just lasted forever, and the dude could see what was happening, he could see where everything was going, and he just was not about it. So whenever a creature attacks, so I'm going to take damage from all of this, though I'm on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It does kind of seem like it might be Toxrill time. That could be hilarious. Gonna go ahead and... Is there a need to attack? I think there is. We are going to take a little bit of damage here. I'm not too worried about that. Unfortunately, this is like... It doesn't say combat damage, it says damage, and I guess this is triggered ability damage. So maybe it doesn't, well, obviously it doesn't get past it. Though we do have a relatively solid lead on this guy. It does look like we might be winning against Zombie X, who's playing a very cool mono-black, you know, whenever you're drawing cards, losing life, gaining life combo. Revenge of Ravens, absolutely, I'd argue one of the best uncommons, one of the best commons in the game. Silver cards, whatever they're called. Do we actually want to go ahead and block this? I'm going to say no, because we need the mana for Toxrill, and it doesn't do anything anyway. Milling through quite a bit, but it is not a worry. because as soon as we hit a Gaia's Blessing, I mean, GG, right? I mean, he actually might concede just after this. We are taking little bits of damage. At least we do have the Sheoldred to negate it a little bit. So if I go ahead and attack, you know, I'm not going to attack because I don't want to be losing that life just yet. Slowly get rid of the veto. Well, the veto's going to die in the end of my next turn. And in that case, we do sort of win because, you know, as long as we're not taking this triggered damage, and as long as he doesn't drop Exquisite Blood or something like that, which unless he has a mana in hand and just God draws, we should be okay. Are sitting on 6 lives. This guy has found a way around the amazing combo a little bit, but I'm not too worried. I mean, worst case scenario, we can just Baleful Mastery, veto, gonna force him to draw a card as well, lose an additional 2 life. Okay, so I read this as, we're not playing any more creatures this game. Not that we need to, you know. We don't really need to play creatures. All we need to do is pass our turn, and he's probably going to concede, because Toxrill is the GOAT. Absolutely amazing card. Beginning of each end step, put a -1/-1 counter on each creature you don't control. Going to be losing a life and gaining a life. No, so that's interesting. Because it says damage. Whenever an opponent draws a card, deals damage to them. And this is just they lose life. So it doesn't negate loss of life effects, though it does negate anything that actually just says damage. Gonna go ahead and pass. His board's gonna get wiped, and I presume the concede. Gonna get an extra 2. Oh, that's actually kind of bad. Getting an extra 2. Losing 4 life on this. Okay, maybe Toxrill was not the greatest card, but we have established dominance. We can pass to the end of turn, and worst case scenario, we're just gonna exile it. Just like if he plays a bunch of 1-mana spells, which he definitely could. Like if he plays 2 Shambling Ghasts, we're gonna need to Baleful Mastery before the end of his turn, just so we don't die to the Trespasser's Curse triggers. We are gonna need to wait a little bit, just so we gain some life from Sheoldred before we can attack. Though he is definitely looking at this board state and thinking what is going on. I do like the deck though. I do have to give you props. It's an interesting mono black deck. It's nice not to always just be playing against nonsense. Whenever it dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. So we are going to lose 2 life. Does that matter that much? Pass 2 attackers. Put a -1/-1 counter on it. And I'm actually going to exile my own Toxrill. Sounds so strange, I know. But if those triggers go off with this dying, we are just going to lose. So, gain the life. Going to Gaia's Blessing and gain ourselves a little bit more life. Nice little voice crack. I'm going to go ahead and drop Heroic Intervention back into the deck. Elder Gargaroth and Mastermind's Acquisition. Those do seem a nice 3. Going to draw a card and gain 2 life because Underworld Dreams does not work. Gaia's Blessing shuffled in, so now you can see the combo. Now you can see where this is all going, which I do like to see. Just drop this down just to sort of play out our hand a little bit. Would be nice to hit a Mastermind's Acquisition just so we can peer into the abyss of this guy. So if we attack, we are going to be losing 1 life, and 1 life lost is I am okay with if we're going to be smacking into 5 or 4, I guess, when you equal out the damage. He is on 6, so if we attack next turn, I mean, this is just bad for him, right? Because that damage gets negated, he's going to draw 2 cards and lose 4 life. And I think we have this one in the bag, ladies and gentlemen. If you are enjoying this channel and you are enjoying videos like this and decks like this, please do make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. Comment, you know, any decks you'd like me to see at all, any decks you'd actually like me to see me play. And I'll see if I can run them back in Mythic. But yeah, thank you very much. If you do decide to subscribe, you do help me out a lot. And look at that, we just milled the Mastermind's Acquisition and the Elder Gargaroth that we did search for. I mean, we've effectively won this game. Well, we have. We get rid of the Revenger Ravens. And now there is nothing stopping us from just smacking in for the win. Good game, my friend. Good game.
Heartbroken.